Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Every now and then we hear about these insurance fraud crime rings being busted up. I seem to recall hearing about one out in California, but Adam sent me notes, and Steve, check this out. From IB Times, a story out of South Korea. Man who caused 183 car accidents to cash in on insurance gets arrested, and the head of a hospital was also nabbed in the sweep. So Marvin Ng wrote this story. Police in South Korea arrested a group of people who intentionally caused car accidents, according to the police. In doing so, they received more than $1 million in insurance money by targeting vehicles that violated traffic laws. And so what they would do is drive around and look for people who may be doing something like speeding or illegal lane changes or something, and then try to get in an accident with them. So the police station said one of those arrested was an unidentified 23-year-old who intentionally caused at least 183 accidents in Incheon and a nearby city in a span of 4 years, starting May of 2019. The suspect was arrested on charges of violating the Special Act on Insurance Fraud Prevention, according to a local news outlet. In addition, 151 accomplices who were with the suspect at the time of the accidents and the head of an Oriental Medicine hospital who helped them falsify hospitalization records were booked without detention. None of the suspects or victims were identified in the report, however. A police investigation revealed that the suspect and his accomplices intentionally caused accidents when they saw expensive cars with several occupants crossing a lane or violating a traffic signal. A total of about $1.28 million was paid for medical treatment and settlement from the insurance companies due to the traffic accidents. Police uncovered the scheme after the suspect wrote a post on his social media account recruiting friends and acquaintances as accomplices. The post on his social media said, "We are recruiting people who will make money while sitting in a car." Now, he's leaving out some key facts there. You're not just going to sit in a car and get paid. Otherwise, everyone would be doing it. You're going to be sitting in the car in a simulated accident or a fake accident and then getting paid by committing insurance fraud. So in order to avoid suspicion, the suspect would change his passenger for every accident and borrow the name of a passenger who had no history of accidents in case the insurance company denied their claim. The suspect recruited the head of a hospital, aiming to get a larger settlement sum by being admitted to that hospital. Police said the hospital chief helped the suspect and his co-conspirators falsely file claims and get hospitalized, and received a total of $30,000 by claiming the hospitalization costs from the insurance company. The suspect reportedly admitted to the crime and asked for leniency, claiming that he was pushed to commit the crimes because he could not get a job. And this is the quote that the police gave. It says, "I committed the crime to make a living because I had no decent job or living expenses." I had no decent job or living expenses. I assume he means the money to pay his living expenses. Meanwhile, a police official urged the public to report any suspected insurance fraud to them. Vehicles that invade lanes in case of signal violations or left turns were mainly subject to the crime. They added, "If you suspect insurance fraud, please report the accident to the insurance company and secure photos and videos on the spot and report them to the police." I talked a few videos back about how in some states, if you are the rear car in a rear-end collision, you are presumed to be at fault. And of course, that's a presumption you can overcome. And one of the most common ways that might not be the case, that is that you might not be at fault, is if somebody jumps in front of you and brake checks you. And that can be done in such a way that you couldn't stop. So especially, like, let's say you had dash cam video of it happening. You're driving along and somebody just zooms in front of you and locks up their brakes. If you show it to court, you can look and go, "Hey, that's not my fault, obviously." Well, the reason I'm mentioning that is that there was, and still is apparently, but I remember one group being busted for this. And what would happen is several people would be in two different cars, and they would be working in concert with each other, as we say. And so what they do is they'd go out, especially like say on a long downhill someplace, and look for big trucks, because they're hoping that big trucks have got lots of insurance and need more room to stop. And then what they'll do is they'll drive along, the two cars will, and they'll find a truck that they want to target, and they'll have the first car pull in front of the truck like it's just going to go and start going that way. And the second car will then pull in front of the first car and brake check them. And so they will brake check them. They will have to lock up their brakes like an emergency situation, and then they get hit by the truck. And meanwhile, the vehicle at the front takes off. And in the old days, a truck driver would say, I saw what happened. This car pulled in front of me and somebody pulled in front of them, and that person caused the accident. And now, many people were suspicious of this and said, how does this keep happening like this on these long downhill stretches? And I remember them busting up a ring in California. And one of the reasons that they got them was that some of the people who were in the vehicle that was going to get hit thought to themselves, well, wait, I don't actually want to get hurt. I want to pretend to get hurt. Because, see, getting hurt actually hurts. Pretending to get hurt doesn't hurt. And so they had loaded the vehicle up with stuff to absorb the impact. And I forgot if it was a station wagon and the back was filled or the trunk was filled, but they'd put stuff in the vehicle to deaden some of the impact. And it happened more than once. So where some police along some stretches of highway said, wait a second, this series of 3 vehicle accidents keep happening, and it just so happens that the vehicle that's in the middle has a trunk filled with padding. So, one of those things makes you wonder. So the scary part, of course, is that this is apparently happening everywhere, that there is car insurance and cars on the road. So this is happening in Korea. IB Times is the International Business Times. And they think that the man caused 183 accidents, but that's, of course, the ones they know about. And they have so far busted 151 accomplices. I don't know if the insurance claims are being filed simply in the name of the passenger or they're being filed in his name and the passengers, because obviously once he'd filed 183 accident claims, somebody might raise an eyebrow. If it just so happens that he's in vehicles that are horribly unlucky and he's been around 183 car accidents, well, that would seem odd. Perhaps an episode of the X-Files or something, but not really something that would be necessarily his fault until you realize that it is, in fact, his fault. So the fact that he put on social media recruiting people who will make money while sitting in a car, I didn't know that was an actual job. What was your last job? I sat in a car and made money. Oh, really? And how does that work? Oh, it's actually insurance fraud. It's insurance fraud, but, So, Adam, thanks for sending it. Marvin Ang wrote it. South Korean man who caused 183 car accidents to cash in on the insurance gets arrested, and the head of a hospital was swept up in it as well. Questions or comments? Put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. All right, everyone. Line up alphabetically according to your height.